there. I am the one starting us off today, so this should be butchered pretty soon. So you are here with Real Law State with Patti and Kate. I am
Woo, woo. I
That's
get to
usually
do that
my
this,
role.
yes, I get to do that this week.
So I'm Patti McCardle, and you are.
I am Kate Lanagan MacGregor.
And tonight well, all along in our series, we've been talking about. I think probably the majority of it has been legal issues we've been discussing, and heavy stuff, I tell you. So we've been talking about. I want some information. Let's take a step away from the law. And what I really wanted to know from a realtor's perspective, you have a new buyer. What should they be looking for or thinking about when buying a property? I know there are so many properties out there, and there's all different kinds, and you got to kind of narrow people down.
Yeah.
And I was just telling Kate my story. I should probably send a fruit basket to the realtor that I had at the time, Diane, if you're out there. Because my husband and I had her looking at antique houses. We looked at contemporary houses. We looked at small houses. We looked at big houses. Houses with large yards, houses with small yards, the whole gamut, which is going to be so exhausting. Because I don't think we really knew what we wanted. So tell us, like, you got a new buyer. What's your process?
That's a really good question. And the thing is out there. And so for our friends who are watching who are buyers, and for also our friends who are watching who are real estate professionals, especially if you're new to this, is one of the things that is a reality is that people don't know what they want, like most of the time. And they think they do because they feel like they should want something.
Yeah.
And what happens is that when they start going to those houses, they're like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
And so they get that kind of feeling. And we talk about this a lot, Patti, is that real estate is emotional. Real estate
surprisingly.
So here's the thing. Patti comes from a law background. She's pretty black and white on a lot of things. And I'm like, that's not how it is in real estate. Like, people are more fluid. People are like, they follow the spectrum of emotions.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I don't want to say like they're like crazy emotionals, because that's not it either. But this is an emotional thing, because we're not talking about a house.
Right.
We're talking about a home.
A home.
And I put together a checklist because she had said she wanted to talk about this. And I thought to myself, when I'm working with buyers, and I love buyers, and don't tell my seller friends, but buyers are my favorite. They are, because I love the process of going through this with them and helping them come to these conclusions.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be a downloadable for you all. You probably can't read it right now, but this is the buyer, what I'm going to call the acronym family checklist. And on the back is the seller or sale sensitivity checklist. Okay. So I'm an acronym person.
Yes,
right?
you
So
are.
I am, and I remember things. I do. I don't remember them all the time, but it helps me remember my strategies.
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
So we're going to follow the word family.
All right.
Okay. So come on this ride with me.
I will.
So the first is F, which is, and again, I had a tough time deciding what F was going to stand for, and I ultimately said flow. You walk into a house, and does the flow work for you? Right.
Okay.
Oftentimes, so the contenders were a floor plan. Yeah. Right. Does the floor plan work? And the other is that feng shui, like the whole, like, is everything where it should be kind of thing. Because here's the thing, like, and I'll give you a recent example. People told me that they did not want a raised ranch because raised ranches generally historically are not the most desired houses.
Okay.
However, when they started describing what they wanted kind of separate living areas.
Okay.
They wanted to have separation. They wanted to have a lot of space for bedrooms or whatever. I'm like, that is a raised ranch, by the way. Yeah. Right. And so when we started looking, I'm like, just indulge me. Like, let's just go look at this house.
Yeah.
Right. And the flow worked for them. Right. So in our lives so far, like in the real estate world, we've gone from like this open space thing.
Yes.
To people going like, you know what? Like moms like me, right? I got nowhere to hide from my kids. I can only go to the bathroom to get away from my children now.
Yeah.
Right. Because we did this open floor plan.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to get away from my children all the time, but I might want to read a book.
Yeah.
Or answer some emails or do
just
something
not
like that.
Hear them all the time.
Right.
So you can have your own thought. Imagine that.
So open floor plans are kind of setting aside to having some private spaces as well. So like our continuing them is changing.
Yeah.
So the F is for flow. When you go into a house, does the flow work for you? So the question so this has on here what the idea is, and then what the question is you should be asking yourself, my buyer friends, is does it work? right? Does it work for what you're looking
And I
for?
would think flow, I don't know if this would fall with that, but one of the things I learned by the time I got to my third house, and I really didn't identify it in the very beginning, is the flow and kind of the feel of the house. One of the
Yes.
things I found is important to me is kind of that light, airy feel. Like I have to
airy
have
feel.
light. If it feels like a cave, I feel like I'm suffocating.
Okay, remember that, guys, okay,
Yeah.
because this is going to come up. So you're very intuitive. I
Okay.
didn't let her read this.
Oh.
So the next thing is anticipation.
Yeah.
Right. And so anticipation, is this house going to serve your future needs? Right. And there's a quote that I'm borrowing about a profession, but it says, love what you are shooting for, not where you are. Right. So if you are looking for a house and you know that, like, so you're looking for a house, and it could be that you are 50 years old and you're saying, you know what, and when I'm 60,
Yeah.
my knees may not be so springy and I may
Yeah.
want to have a first floor master.
Yeah.
Or you may be like bubbling up with your first baby and you may want 5. Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
So start anticipating what your needs may be.
So long term.
Does somebody need an office? You know, are you going to be needing an office? Like,
Yep.
so anticipation, is this house going to serve your future needs? And again, a lot of times people will say, well, I'll buy another house then. Right. And I get that. And you know what? We're all too happy to help you with that. Right.
At all times.
But the thing is that you want to be able to adjust, you know, so you want to be able to grow into your home. Okay. The next thing is maintenance, right? And I said here, like the hand, like are you in alignment with your inner handy person?
Yeah.
Handyman, I'd say, but like we're women, right? So handy person. So like when you look at a house, and this is the first thing that happens all the time, is people are like, oh, I take down that wall, I do this, I do that. Like, because they want to make it their own. Like that emotional thing I'm talking about is they feel like they want to make it their own.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of times I'm like, you know what? Get as close to what you want it to be from when you're starting, because taking down walls, adding this, adding that is hugely expensive a lot of times. And it's just, when you're in there, it's hard to do.
And it takes time, because
It takes time.
I know from my own experiences, so you have limited time in the weekend to enjoy your life. And now you have another deadline in your house. And oh, that's right, I got to replace these doors. Oh, that's right, I got to paint this room.
Right.
And next thing you know, your weekend is gone.
I will tell you, true confessions on my home. We've been in it for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we can't call it construction because we've been in 20 years, but we can't call it renovations because we've never done it.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you are a handy person and a handyman and you can get a house at a really good bargain, then that maintenance thing is a good thing for you. Right. Oh, thank you for that thumbs up. You know, we have a dictionary on, so we don't even know who's on right now. So I don't know how to take that off. I'm afraid to. But Patty can, because it's her computer. Oh, we got some people. Let's say hi to them. Let's take a little minute. All right. Hi, Megan. Hi, Jenny. You hide in the pantry. You're hilarious. Hey, Bob. How are you? So you know what? Thank you guys for your support. We love that you're here with us. Jenny's a new realtor. So Jenny, this is a lot for you, right? Okay, so that's our M. She gets it in there. So FAM, we're at FAM so far. So I is investment, right? And it's the so is the house going to appreciate? That demographic, how's the demographic going to be, you know? And then also like the finance, is it a good financial decision, you know? And my question on that, God bless you, is does it make good solid financial sense for my homeowner's dreams?
Yeah.
Right. So you and I had a discussion this week about we had this discussion a lot, just
a lot.
Yes. So this is I'm going to narrow it down. It was talking about, what do you say when someone's like, you know, well, what about how much is it going to be worth when they want to sell? I'm like, first of all, who knows? None of us have crystal balls.
True.
The second thing is, to me, is like, if we are so about the numbers, then we're forgetting about the emotion, and we're forgetting about their desire to be moved somewhere. Right. So a lot of times, like if someone's moving into a neighborhood, like for example, there's some new new subdivisions going up.
Yeah.
Those are going to be really hard to sell at what they're going in for. But those families moving in are like, I want this. Yeah. I want community. Yeah. I want to take my little baby carriage and roll down the road and find 4 more baby carriages to go roll with me. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's the investment is not for them a financial one. It's a lifestyle one.
And they find value in that lifestyle.
Right. And so that's what I say a lot of times to people is like, if this is what you want, then like, don't quibble about what, you know, if you feel like you're overpaying, especially in a market where there's scarcity, you know, so we have to be careful as financial people to not overdo that for a person who wants to be there.
I think just since we set this up a little bit, the discussion that we're always having is I always come from the investment standpoint. I want to know my hard-earned dollars are still going to be there when I go to sell, or close there too, because you can't control the market. Just like you said, there's ups and downs. but I don't want to find out I lost $100,000
Right.
because
Well,
I
we don't want that. No.
overpaid. Yeah.
Right.
So I
So-
think there's definitely has to be a balance between what you're saying.
Oh, look at those hearts. You got
Yeah.
a good heart on that. Yeah, you
Has
guys.
to be a
You're on
balance.
Patty's side.
So,
yeah.
but there's going to be a balance. You
It does
gotta
have to be.
love it. It's your lifestyle. There's value to that. But at the end of the day, you're not living there forever. Or maybe you are. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very few people do that anymore. But
Right.
you
And
wanna
I
know
would
you
love
get
it
your
if some
money.
buyers of mine were on, because I talk you guys down in price, and I say, listen, let's not go to the max, because you're going to want to let your kids go to gymnastics, or you're going to want to go on a vacation, or you may want to buy Pampers Premium, you know what I mean, instead of the generic brand, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to be house poor. So
No.
I always try to make it so that they don't. But the investment piece has to be important.
And I think also in the investment piece, if you don't mind me kind of butting in a little, is it's not just the investment in the house, but you also have to consider the insurance costs. You have to
Yes.
consider the taxes if it's in the flood zone.
Yes. Yes.
All
yes.
those types of things, because sewer, water, if it's town, you got to pay those bills.
Yeah.
So that adds up. And I think people get so caught up on the mortgage amount that they're not looking at the expenses as a whole. And next thing you know, they find themselves strapped. So I think
Right,
it's
and this goes back to
really-
that maintenance thing. So
Yeah.
if I'm looking at a house with you and you're at the higher end of your pre-approved amount, and you're knocking down walls in your brain, I'm like, oh gosh, listen, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we have this checklist.
Love it.
So then the next thing is location, and I talk about community, schools, and environment. And my question on this one is this your vision of your location? Okay, so in this community that we're in, a lot of people move here because of location.
Yes.
Right, our school systems are
It was
phenomenal.
Great.
We have in our different areas, we have waterfront, we have woods, we have, just an amazing community, and so people move here for this,
Yes.
right? So when people are looking, again, we talk about that location, and some people will do anything to get into a zip code.
Yeah.
Not anything.
True.
Like they won't,
Yeah.
whatever. Who knows what they'll do.
I was waiting for that answer.
I know, like G-rated. Anyways, the point is location's really important.
Yes.
And narrowing that down. I have a cousin client that's looking right now, and they keep on going to different areas, and then they're in the area that they're looking at because they haven't narrowed it down to what I feel where I want them, right?
Yeah.
Because I want them nearby,
Yeah.
right? And but what they're doing is that they're looking at different criteria.
Yeah.
And then when they're there, they're like, this doesn't feel it. And
Yeah.
it's like, so again, that location is a really important piece.
And I think one of the parts that I just know from my own personal experience, where my husband was commuting into Boston, and we had a great location, schools, kids went through schools, they got a great education, that's great. But meanwhile, he's commuting like 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on a person after a while.
Yeah,
So
it
I
does.
think you have to weigh all those factors, and
Definitely. And there's some good locations. And again, okay, I got to check. Jenny gave us a message. Buying is cheaper than renting right now. You have to pay to live somewhere. Might as well build equity while you're at it. I love that.
Amen, sister.
And hi, Debbie. Hi, Lena. How are you? Thanks, guys, for joining. All right, so I'm going into my last, and this is a fake word, and it's unique, right? So my Y
Fake word.
is unique. So it's when you walk, every home is different, right? So like when you say you want a colonial and you walk into that cape and you love that cape because it's bright and airy, it speaks to you. Like
Yeah.
that's that unique thing that she was talking about.
Yeah.
Those homes spoke to her,
Yeah.
right? So she felt, so everybody gets this feel, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, do you feel you are home? And I can't tell you how many times when we've gone through and someone walks in somewhere and they're like, you know what, this is it. This is my home.
I love it.
And it's like, but
Like
you
saying yes to
said,
the dress.
but and I'll tell you, yes, say yes to the dress. But it's also like, there's times that, like a senior citizen couple, and it was an upstairs bedroom. And I said, but you wanted a first floor master. Like, well, we'll walk upstairs. We got a few mortgages in us. We could always convert that over there to, when the time comes. We love
Interesting,
everything.
yeah.
So all of a sudden, those things that were on your checklist, if you get this visceral feel for the property,
Yeah.
and I know for me, like, I know when that happens, when I see that happen, when I'm, when I'm
Yeah.
showing it, I'm like, that's a good thing,
Yeah.
because that means that they're going to overlook those things on a home inspection, or they're going to work with it, and they're going to work with the seller to make it work. So it's a good feeling. Like when I
Yeah.
see that and I see that connection, I know that that we're on the right track.
And I had a thought on that and I lost it. So
Okay, so we'll come back when you have it. So then the last part is, okay, so here's the thing, folks, is that we are in this market now where we've had this transition where there's a scarcity out there. So it's kind of weird because our homes are like, they are appreciating a little.
Mhm.
Everyone's talking about the market changing, but the market really hasn't changed
Not
yet.
yet.
Right? And so everyone's kind of like in this really weird space, right? So like to put it nicely,
Yeah.
no one knows which one can be the jackass or not, right? So it's like, I'm only
That's
kidding. I'm only
awesome.
kidding. But right now, you buyers cannot be,
Yeah.
okay? Because the seller is in a place where, generally speaking, there's a scarcity for their property.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're in the position of power.
Right. Now they're in the position of power, but
Yeah.
they're not in like this big power, at least
Right.
not around here,
It's
not our
2005.
demographics. No, it's not 2005 for sure. But we're also, we are like, we can't listen to the rest of the nation around
No.
here, not in this location. Now, I know people from all over the country, especially our state, listen to us.
Yeah.
So you need to apply this to you. But in our particular neck of the woods,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the sellers right now have the upper hand, but not by much.
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, the word I used for the seller checklist is, so this is how buyers are to treat their sellers, is sale, right? That seller wants a sale. When you're providing your offer, do they feel the most comfort in that you're going to get them to that sale? Does that make
Okay.
sense?
So maybe there's less contingencies you're thinking, or something
Yes.
more solid about the offer?
No, less contingencies for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to give some stories here, but I'm going to go through my letters. So the S stands for strategic. You want to be prepared and have your research done. Okay. So when you're coming in for this offer, and I'll give you an example. I just got an offer. I'm the seller's agent on a piece of land I have. And the person came in significantly lower than what our ask is, right? And she said on it, she said, listen, we went to town hall, we spoke with the engineer, we spoke with the town, we did this. What we found is our building envelope is limited. So we can only get this kind of house in there.
Interesting.
So we
Due
can only
diligence.
sell it because they're investors. We can only sell it for this amount because this is the house we'd have to build.
Gotcha.
So this is where the number comes in. We
Yeah.
love the land.
Yeah.
So she's like, we love the land.
Yeah.
But through my research, this is what I've learned. And I see we've got another comment there, so I will come back to it. Amenable. So A stands for amenable. And again, when I do these, like I have so many words that pop through my brain and I'm like, what gives me the
It's
best
amazing.
feeling? I know, and you don't want to go there. So anyways, amenable and that means like show flexibility and openness, right? So if I am making an offer and I put a date in, because, sometimes as buyer's agents, we're just picking dates.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, well, it's 45 days.
Yeah.
If you're amenable to flexible on dates, somewhere in there, tell them,
Yeah.
right? And if you're amenable to them leaving, like if it's an estate sale, to them leaving the stuff that's there or whatever, show
That's
them your
huge.
flexibility.
Yeah.
Be amenable. Do not be so stringent
Right.
in your offer that person feels like the noose tightening around their neck, right?
Yeah, because there's definitely, we've been talking about this lately too. There's just some agents who go into a transaction contentious from the very
Yes.
beginning.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be contentious.
Yes, and I will talk about that when we get to the E. And it's true, but here's the thing: is like to my realtor friends out there, we are colleagues first,
Yeah.
right? We are colleagues first, and then we cooperate, right? We have to cooperate. I mean, yes, we compete, but we cooperate. And so you should never go into something as it being an adversarial thing. Because whenever I feel like when my chops are getting busted, I'm like, that means my seller's going to go through the ringer.
Yeah.
And so this sale thing, the sensitivity thing we're talking about now, I know it's going to be a really difficult journey. And I don't get it because honestly, I've had agents working for me in the past that have done this and their deals fall apart at least 50% higher than those who decide to play Kumbaya.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying be weak.
Yeah.
Right. And I often say, like, don't perceive my kindness as weakness.
Right.
Because it's not. It's a strength.
You can be firm without being
right.
a jackass, to use your word.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to kind of tell you, like sometimes when I'm dealing with people, they on both the buy side and the sell side, they have the opportunity now to look everything up. They get all the information. They come to me and they're like, do you know what his job is? Right. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
No, I don't know what his job is. They're like,
creepy.
He can, right. He can afford more. Right. And I'm like, he doesn't want to pay more. Right.
Wow.
Whatever. So we're in this place that we need to like keep that kumbaya moments when we can.
I didn't even know that was happening. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Let me tell you. So anyways, the next part is love it or at least like it. Right. So when you're coming in, let that seller know how much you loved their house, right? Because again, they're not, most of the time people aren't like, oh, I'm moving to go to this more amazing part of my life and having all these awesome things happening. Normally there's a little bit of distress or duress or sadness or something that it's not normally happy and joyous and free.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just saying, right? And even if they are moving on because they're seniors,
Mhm.
they've loved that. This has been their home.
It's your baby.
So like when you go and you're like, the reason my offer is so low is because your house sucks. We're gonna have to do this and that. Like, I know, again, there goes my language.
She
right?
is on
You know,
a roll.
I have
tonight.
Tourette's today. So anyways, you want to show that you love the house or at least like it. And there's some ways that this is done.
Okay.
And one of them is those letters, which may be an ADA thing, but whatever, or a statement. All right. So back to my example of that land.
Yeah.
The woman said, like, I know this is a really low offer, but I want to make my offer and I want to make my case for why this offer is reasonable
I
for
love
what we
that.
want.
Okay.
Right. So it's almost like this. All right, I know this offer is low, but this is what we can do, and this is why, right? So this letter will tell you why, right?
Because miscommunication is like the root of all problems.
Right.
In
Well,
the
the
world.
thing
So
is, like,
expressing that.
right. So if you are coming in, or even like in the situation that I just had where somebody accepted lower dollar number, but there was a nice letter, right? And there was nice feeling, and they liked the house, and they communicated that. Versus the second people, who I also think like the house, by the way,
Yeah.
but they didn't state it, and they
Okay.
didn't show it, And I mean, I was not their agent, and I couldn't make them,
Yeah,
right? And I
yeah.
was like, oh, right. So, anyways, love it. So the L stands for love it, or at least like it. Send a letter or a statement and explain yourselves, okay?
All right.
Especially if it's something that's out of the ordinary, right? These people that my client took instead, like, had a house to sell,
Yeah.
right? House to sells in the past have been like, oh my God, that's like kiss of death, right? So, but they said, listen, we are in a very hot market. This is
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And sure enough,
Show enough.
3 days later after they listed it, it did
Yeah.
go under agreement. So
Amazing,
it's like,
'cause it's still a seller's market, people.
yes, right. And then the last is economic, and it's understand supply, demand, and market conditions. And so back to my example on the multiple offer scenario, and where one person had a letter, talked about what they liked, explained their situation, what they were doing, had it all laid out, okay? And then the other people had like 10 contingencies,
Oof.
like, and they weren't big things, and they weren't like, but it felt like to me, and to my sellers were like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
Right. And I said, well, those things are standard, it's a lot to be. They said, we feel like if they're like this on their offer, what are they going to be like at the home inspection?
Yeah. You feel a little attacked right
They
from
did,
the beginning.
they did. And, and it did not feel like they loved it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, another thing, and this is back to our, and we'll save this for another day, but our whole, does it must appraise at sale price go in? Now we have a mortgage.
I think we should have like a whole video.
We
on
do need a
just
whole video
that
because we
conversation.
can't get over it.
No.
No, we can't. But my thing is let the mortgage people do their job.
Yes.
Right? Let the mortgage people do their job. Let's not do everybody's job for them. Like, that's my feeling. But the other part of that is that if we're in a slightly appreciating market, which we are, right? Those comps might be close, so that it's mortgageable.
Yeah.
But it might not be at appraisal price, and then I'll be dead 2 weeks before the closing.
Yeah.
And that's what my people are afraid of. Right. So
it's definitely not a good feeling for the seller.
And so the buyer's going like, this is standard. I'm like, it was standard. Like, it was standard when we were not in an appreciating market.
Yeah.
And it was standard when the buyers had an upper hand.
Yeah.
But now the sellers have the upper hand.
Yeah.
And now the sellers are going for the person who they think is going to get them to their sale.
Yeah.
The best. And it may be a couple $1,000 difference. But if I know I want to move out, I don't want a surprise 3 weeks before.
Yeah.
Now that I've taken my house off the market for a month, and now I've got the surprise.
Yeah.
So, again, if we let the mortgage people do their jobs, right, it's reasonable that we're going to get the commitments on our properties because they know what they're doing, and the appraisers know what they're doing. And for us real estate people to tell them, but again, I'm off on a tangent because you know how I feel about this, obviously, now, right? Anyways, so I'm going to take this off the table.
Our next video is going to be hot. You think there's a lot of energy coming off her now? Wait till we get to our next topic.
No, it's anyway. The thing is, guys, we want, as a buyer, I'm going to wrap this up a little bit, and then you can ask me some questions. As a buyer, what you're looking for is that home that they feel like is their home.
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to help find that. Okay. And then once they find that, you have to do your best to help them get there.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is by communicating what they like about the house. It's by not making it really hard for them to choose you. I will tell you over and over again in multiple offer situations, they don't always pick the highest number, because if there's a lot of baggage on that other one, a lot of like, You know, they don't
Keep it
want
simple.
that. They don't want that. That's what the S was going to be.
Keep it simple?
Was going to be
Simple?
simplify. Simplify your message and simplify your conditions. And so those are my tips for buyers. This is an amazing place to live, and this is an amazing time to buy a home.
Yeah.
And our interest rates are still low, and home ownership is back to being a great desire for people. Young people are getting in like
Thank
by
goodness.
the crazies.
Yeah.
You know, it's time, like home ownership is back.
Yeah.
You know, so we want to do our best as professionals to have this happen.
Let me ask you one question, because I almost want to flip it a little bit. What would you tell buyers not to worry about when they're looking for a house? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, you know, this is what you're looking for. This is what you're looking for.
I will tell you
what would you say? Don't get hung up on X. What would that be?
Big Daddy, which is
Big Daddy.
actually Big Dada, right?
Dada.
And it's when someone goes and they back to them having all the information and they're
Yeah.
going, well, Zillow says this,
Oh,
and Trulia says
Zillow.
this, and Realtor.com says this, and I went back and I checked this, and this says this, and you're going like, why are you contorting yourself? You know what they're
Yeah.
asking. You know what your budget is.
Yep.
Let's find something that makes sense.
Right.
Like, and they're like going, well, Zillow's, I said, first of all, Zillow has a disclaimer on every single page saying that they do not have accurate information.
No.
Like, so why are you doing this to yourself?
And I think in regions, I mean, every region, every town has their pockets of where, you know, this neighborhood's valued
Right, that
higher than this
location, right?
neighborhood. And
Yes.
Zillow has no idea. This is
No,
why
they've
you
never been
still
here.
need a realtor in today's day and age.
Yes, absolutely.
This is why I hate to keep bashing them, but like Redfin, they don't know what they're doing either. Like, you need your realtors in the local areas
You
because they
do.
know the pockets,
do.
they know the quirks around here, they know the people
Yeah.
in the building department, they know all those things. You can't get that on Zillow. And
Right.
their value is bringing that information home to you, which again, I
Right.
come back to mine, being able to protect your interest in a property, but also letting you know what to expect and what appraisals will be out there, what the comps are going to be.
Right.
That's
Have a professional that can do
huge.
it.
Yeah, Zillow is not giving you that.
So I just want to touch on two things there.
Mm.
First is, you know, back personally.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at from the owner of Bold Moves for what to do next with Bold Moves, and I looked at different situations, and you know this, she was my lawyer when I was looking,
Yes.
and she was my lawyer when I was looking, and I
Like,
would be
what are
like,
you doing?
I don't think that's the future of real estate. Like say Redfin, I don't think that Redfin's the future of real estate. Like not for a real estate professional. I'm like, when we're talking about big box companies, I'm like, I don't think that is, because I don't think that they are focusing on the community. I think
No.
it has to do with the community. And so we partnered because we want to bring the best of everything to you.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm so excited to be able to be helping buyers and sellers. And that's why, you know, I love it when I get the opportunity,
Yeah.
because we have so much, and the training that is provided, and the like, she just looked at a PNS of mine before we did this. And it's like, I was like, just knowing that we have each other to learn from is
Yeah.
just so significant.
I think it's awesome. And like, clearly the knowledge that you have is amazing, that it just emanates from your pores, quite frankly. It just flows out of you. Even not knowing, quite frankly, how we're going to handle this conversation. And then once it gets going, you just take off. It just shows your experience and the strength that you have from all the different experiences. And I can't help but notice this little picture here that we
Yes.
have
Oh.
behind us.
It's just me
I'll-
juggling. Yes, me
Woo!
juggling.
Why? Because Kate was Realtor of the Year for the
I am.
entire state. We're talking about
I am.
community, but
Yes,
for
I
the
am.
entire state, she was Realtor of
Yeah.
the Year.
I am Realtor of the Year, so it's not done
Oh,
yet.
sorry.
But
she
let me
is.
tell you something. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing next week. So next week is our legislative meetings at Washington, D.C., where I go to advocate for homeowner rights.
Amazing.
And I will go meet with all of our senators and House of Representatives, and I will be on the floor with them, and I will be marching for all of the things that we need help with. And guys, there's some big ones coming down the pipe, just so you know. So I'll be doing that, but I'll also be, before it starts, I'm going out 2 days early. One, because I am an accredited buyer's representative, right, ABR. I am a teacher of it to teach people how to do it. So I'm an
Amazing.
instructor. I'm going to get myself updated and get recertified. And then I went another day early so that I can be certified in veterans. So like, I love this profession, and I do want to help people. Like, I do want to help. And you're right.
And you're just a natural hustler. Like,
I
you
am.
just
I am a
advocating
hustler.
for the word.
But I love it.
I
But
love
no,
her.
I know. But listen, guys, it's so
Oh.
important. You're important. It's too important of a thing to just try to save a couple dollars, you
Yeah.
know, and it really is. And this stuff that I'm talking about, like that person that I thought was so nice that
Yeah.
did not get that house because the realtor was was not helping them,
Yeah.
like not helping them with today's environment.
Yeah.
Right. And so talk to us and talk to our friends. And
kind of go back to like the person with all the data. Like we all know when we have certain ailments, we go on to WebMD, right? And you print up all this information.
I do. I got about 15 things wrong with me right now.
Yeah, I'm dying of every cancer there is known to man right now.
Oh yeah.
But it's because I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know how to
Right.
interpret the information. And so
Right.
you need an expert who knows how to interpret the information, right?
I love that example of like they're talking about, you know, the person you're on a plane, the plane's going down, and someone goes, "Who's got the most frequent flyer miles?" You drive the plane, right? You've been on the most airplanes lately. So, anyways, I want to just jump on and put my little glasses back on and see who we got here. You hide the pantry, okay? Jenny, pre-approvals is so important, and your lender will work with you to make it break the deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, there's so many good lenders out there. Megaroni's on this right now. She's a great lender.
Yeah.
Like, talk to them. And if she's not in your area or whatever, ask her questions. You guys are connected now through us, right?
Yeah.
You guys talk to each other, right? And say, listen, I know that I have this lender that my company works with, but could I have a second opinion? Could I bounce something off you?
Absolutely.
Should be happy to ask, answer those questions. Just like I would if you were a real estate professional throughout the state or even the nation, and you're listening to this and you're like, you know what? You just said like appraisals aren't important.
Yeah.
Like, sister, what are you talking about? Then let's talk about it, okay? Because I think it's really, I do think appraisals are important, by the way.
Yeah.
I do. I am absolutely not saying that.
Right.
Like, you know.
Right. But
and I'm also not for overspending either.
Yeah. No, and I don't think so. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I know.
Again, we will be on here for another hour.
I know.
It's amazing how many times we've talked about that. So
I know. Well, because we disagree.
Yeah.
That's why. So, which is good, right? Because disagreement is good. If everybody agreed with you, then how much fun would that be?
It's the best thing about
how much fun would ReaLAWstate be if we all agreed on everything? Oh, Betty is so wonderful. Katie is so wonderful. All right. Wow. Anyways, I know.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think this has been a great conversation. And I think I know I've learned a lot because, you know, if I had to bring somebody out to look at a house right now, I don't know that I would have known where to start with them. So I think it's important to know
listening is, and that's like, I don't even think that went on there. That maybe my L should have been listen, because one of my, I got L's on both sides. I should have probably put listen in there. Listening to somebody would really help. And just listening to what it is that they, like what their fears are, like what they want, you know.
Really like active listening. There's so many people who hear words, but they aren't really listening.
No, you know what? And like, and you gotta, because it's too important of an investment for them to not do the best that you possibly can for them, you know.
All right, Kate. Well, this has been awesome, and we love all these people joining us and adding little comments. So keep doing
keep that going, and you guys connect with each other, right? Connect with each other. Start your own thing, right? Where you guys are talking with each other and learning from each other.
So I think because you're going to be away next weekend, right? So we won't be here next weekend.
No, we won't be. You're right. So maybe you should have somebody on as I think I put on my schedule that you're going to have a guest without me, and it's on the calendar. Yeah. So I know who I think it should be. So we'll keep on going. And when she's out of town, I'll have a special guest, just like Kelly used to do. But now it's Kelly and who? I don't know who watches TV anymore, right? So Kelly and Ryan, right? So she'll bring on a different co-host. All right. Anyways, you guys keep on sharing this because the numbers have been awesome.
Yeah.
There's and again, the copy factor has been awesome also. Right, because people are copying our super cool idea.
Unbelievable.
It's flattery, man. It's flattery.
I know, but nobody will be as entertaining as us.
Yeah, hell to the no. Okay, guys. So we'll see you. Well, she'll see you next Sunday, and I will be in touch because I will be communicating from Washington, D.C.
Amazing.
And you know what? It's super important stuff going on.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.